comes from the country. When that country is gone, our language is gone, and so is our identity.
That habitat loss is a major threat to the species, but they don't care. They want to approve these projects anyway, regardless.
There's also a lot of rorting going on with wind farm developments and renewable energy.
I couldn't believe what was going on. You're just clearing great forests for renewable energy.
We didn't even know what was happening. What's going on?
G'day folks, my name's Oliver Jeshope from the North Queensland Freedom Network, here with Mark Batt behind the camera, and I'm here also with Carolyn from the Rainforest Reserves Australia, and she's here organising a community event to inform the people on a very serious environmental topic.
The impacts of renewable energy to our vast landscapes of northern Australia. In this case, it's Chulumban wind farm. It's only a proposal, so it hasn't gone through yet. But then we have Mount Fox and we have then Upper Burdekin.
So what I've just done is give a presentation where I was comparing wind power, everything from its safety to the area it takes up, its reliability.
Vast landscapes of northern Australia that is being threatened to be industrialised for wind and solar farms.
It's been a bit of a journey for me, uncovering the rollout of renewables. So there's a big push for renewables. They're going they're going into places that we never thought they'd go. The renewable industry is an unregulated industry, and at the moment it's a free-for-all. So big renewables are coming in and just doing the bare minimum of what they need to do. All they need to do legally is notify the adjacent landowners that adjoin the site. No one else needs to know.
We've gathered here today the durable people that have said no consent to the native title and the destruction of the ecosystems, their heritage, their cultural, everything's being threatened for them.
At the beginning of this, none of them were consulted, simply because we don't get notified of meetings, we don't get correspondence, we don't get informed of anything. We need to know. We need to have a voice and we need to be able to have a say. Not just, a PBC secretly doing business and at the detriment of an entire tribe, or two or three, the cultural significance of the area that they want to destroy for windmills. There's stories all throughout that area. There are two families in there right now that have their story places that are sacred to that family on that land. It's the spiritual connection to the land is what keeps us going, is our essence. That's where we learn from, the essence of the rainforest. Destroying that is taking away our culture, taking away who we are as a people. I'm trying to protect what we have now so that our children have it in the future.
It all started with Mount Emerald Wind Farm about 4 years ago, and I sort of documented that because I had a keen interest in the rollout of renewables. And I'm not necessarily against renewable energy, and we need a quick and fast transition off coal. I quickly learned that it is a bit of a brutal industry on the landscape, the way they need to push roads into high elevation areas, blast the tops off mountains and hills to get the turbines in.
And it will devastate not only that area, but the entire region. It will have effect upon all of our north coast, all of our coastal regions and beyond.
What is happening here is that our beautiful nature wonderland is being turned into an industrial wasteland.
These mountains have to be covered to stop the evaporation and the heat that builds up on these mountains.
And we've got so much of the Australian landscape that's already been cleared and degraded, and those areas should be targeted first for renewables and not the western side of the Wet Tropics World Heritage Area, which is where some of these big projects are earmarked.
So up in those wind environments, what happens is you clear it, the land heats up to 60 degrees on bare land, whereas in forests, you barely get up above 26 degrees. That's a huge increase in temperature upon our lands. We lose the carbon off those lands, we're losing the water off those landscapes. And as that heat rises, it pushes away the rain clouds and we lose our rainfall. This has happened down south, total devastation on high mountain ranges that have completely been cleared. Now they're facing the issues of long-term droughts, flooding rains.
A lot of people don't talk about the cumulative effects of 70-metre wide roads, haulage roads. Caban Wind Farm, for instance, has 2 concreting plants.
Because of the effects that this is going to have downstream. The waterways, the dust, the rainforest, it's catastrophic. The ripple effect is unthinkable.
Bearing of the ground to massive erosion, the protection of wildlife.
We're talking about koalas after blasting.
At the Upper Burdekin site, there's a huge swathe of amazing animals that are vulnerable, endangered or threatened, such as the Sharman's rock wallaby, masked owl. Chulumban, there's the magnificent brood frog, the red goshawk, the greater glider.
This is of global significance, so we're looking at over 2,000 species at least.
The thing is, we only focus on the vulnerable species. There's a whole suite of everyday animals that are found there as well that need that functioning ecosystem.
When you put it here, you're putting it right beside maybe the greatest proliferation of bird life in the world. There's not a lot of jungle left in the world. And this happens to be one of the places where there is jungle left. And you're putting it right on the side of the jungle.
And once you start fragmenting all these spots one after the other, well, then they do become vulnerable. There's no planning by state to even accommodate any solutions.
There was a meeting in 2019. We, the people, don't find out until 2021.
Many Australians are not informed. They do not realise the vast landscapes of industrialisation that will impact our whole ecosystems.
There's been very little consultation with scientists. There's been no consultation with most of our environmentalists. There's been no to little consultation with even the local community.
And the more I researched, the more I understood that they're projects in really inappropriate areas in places of high biodiversity.
People in Australia, if they knew that our ecosystems were being destroyed for renewable energy, would they want this to be subsidised and these developers taking out billions of dollars? Would they want that?
Just yesterday we found there's another 20 wind farm projects earmarked for Queensland that no one knows about. So if they all go ahead, and then we're basically left with nothing anyway, and then all animals become vulnerable or endangered.
I'm an environmental scientist. I've been an environmental scientist for decades. We've been stupid with renewables. It was created in Australia. The technology was Australian, and we've given it all away.
Some of the decisions that are being made are policies on the run, and they're also not only policies that's on the run, but it's become militant and extremist. This is not in Australia's best interest. This is against the public interest.
There's lots of solutions, but no one's looking at the solutions.
We're sort of opening up the conversation on energy. We would like to see people not be so militant, but actually look at the science and look at the lies or half-truths.
So other countries exploit all their offshore wind first before they put onshore wind?
I'm a terrific supporter of wind farms at Hewenden, which is out in the middle of nowhere. There's no birds, there's no anything, sort of like desert on top of a rock mountain. We're making great progress here, and the thing is, now is the time where we put the real pressure on. You know, if you're fair dinkum about saving the planet, and you're fair dinkum about, this is going to make so much money for our investors, then you put it out there.
I was seeing what was happening with renewables, and I wanted to see what alternatives we had. And I did have a little bit of background in this field because I had been a regulator for uranium mines and discovered that a lot of the stuff I'd been talking about, that it was how dirty and horrible it was not true at all. In fact, the whole of the modern nuclear industry has been treated very, very badly. There's been a lot of people that have worked very, very hard to get it to work very, very well and make it very, very safe, and they thought it'd all be noticed. Instead, it hasn't been. It's just been pilloried.
We would like to see people just be informed.
So at the moment, there's a high voltage transmission line that all the wind farms want to be on. But what we should be doing is putting spur lines off that transmission line into open country to the west, where renewables can flourish in lower biodiverse areas.
Instead of having all this destruction that could be happening right through all our forests, which is terrible for climate change, have nuclear power stations replacing our coal-fired power stations, actually on the sites where the coal-fired power stations are. They don't need extra infrastructure, they don't need extra transmission lines, and in fact many of the workers could move almost directly to the new job because the turbines, the generators and everything else that's associated with power generation is almost identical from one and the other, from nuclear to coal.
We're here for nature. That's our call.
Cool. Thank you so much for your time, Carolyn.
Thank you.
Thank you.
These bastards are taking to start with.